Sarah Barlow, and I am the principal here. Thank you so much for coming. I'm sure you probably all had a really long day, and so maybe you debated. I'm always that parent, like I know I should go, but I really just want to go home, get ready for bed. But I really appreciate your time and energy and coming so we can have this conversation. Hopefully everybody got the agenda. I do value your time, so I would like to keep this meeting under an hour. We had a really productive conversation this morning with the parents who came to the morning PAC, and I'm excited to share what they had to say and to get feedback from all of you. So I'm going to keep my mask down, but keep my distance, and so I'm grateful for the microphone to help so we can make sure we can all hear one another and share our thoughts. I appreciate you being here. I don't know if we want to take a minute and just kind of introduce yourselves. Hopefully this becomes kind of a common, like you recognize each other's faces. I see we had a very small crew last year, right? And so some of the parents that are returning, thank you for coming back and being part of this PAC committee. We will get a chance to hear all sorts of really exciting things. Normally we would have our student body president here. She would give a student body presentation about different things that they're doing with leadership. Seja Pearson is our student body president this year, and she has a president's meeting tonight. So she's one of the school presidents that will be getting together for all of Southern Nevada. They do that meeting every quarter, and it just happens to be tonight. So she will be here next month to be able to share with you. We included some dates down below on the calendar items that she would review just as far as the activities and plans that Student Council is putting together for our whole school, K through 12. Our student body leaders are in grades 7 through 12, and they are fantastic students who really want to serve and to help lead our students, and so they ran for election, they ran for office, and they were elected, and they are now in our leadership class, and they create plans, and this Friday we have our very first Spirit Assembly for grades 9 through 12, but eventually we'll grow into a space where the elementary students here also have a chance to be class leaders and kind of get them prepared for that opportunity when they get into the secondary schools. Does anybody want to introduce themselves? Does that feel natural, or is that a little forced family fun? No? You're saying please don't make me do that. Okay, we're gonna just move on then. I encourage you to mingle after and to introduce yourselves so that you have a chance to make connections if your kids are in the same class. I know some of you are from the Rainbow campus, some of you have kids here at the Durango campus. One of the things I love is that we are very much one school, and so we're able to kind of talk about all of the things that pertain to all of our students. And that brings me to school data. Every month I will bring some sort of information to the forefront, things that we're talking about, information that we just got back either from the state or with our own reporting or whatever is helpful. In this week, last week actually, well, a few weeks ago, we were at the Student Council retreat, and we got a phone call regarding our SBAC scores. The SBAC scores are the measuring mechanism with which the state uses to give a school their rating, their school rating. It was because of these scores and the school rating system that an alarm was raised as far as the performance of our school with the former management company. And it was the impetus for making a lot of changes last year. Those of you who are with us, it was hard. Last year was a really hard year for a lot of different reasons. And frankly, as school leaders, we had a really good sense of what we needed to do and what we wanted to do. And we were very proud and relieved and validated that in conjunction with the work that our families did and on the hardworking backs of our teachers, that we were able to have some really positive growth data. So if you look at the agenda, you'll see 4 years worth of data. You'll notice that there is no 2019 to 2020. The year that COVID shut everybody down, they did not conduct an SBAC test that spring. And so there is no data there for us to be able to track. But you can see in 2016 and 17, what the state cares about is that our students are growing. Everybody comes in at a different level. Some are already high achieving, but even those high achieving students need to continue to grow and improve. Likewise, there's students who may be low performing or have learning challenges, and the objective of good education is to help those kids grow within their own right. So the trajectory of our students, we're always looking to improve all of the trajectory of all of the kids. And that looks very different depending on the students that we're dealing with, and the teachers are now given the autonomy and are empowered as professionals to look at the data and make a course plan and to really address the needs of the kids, which is exciting. It was a shift, it was a big change, and so we were really hopeful that this would prove and be evidenced in our data. And Dr. Jessica Barr, who is a consultant for a lot of charter schools here in Nevada, but across states throughout the nation, as a data analyst, we hired her to have an objective view, which a parent pointed out last year, like, you're still paying her, and I was like, you're right, that's true. But we want an outside party looking at our data and reporting that to our school board and to our parents about what we're doing. Is it working? Is it not? And she called a few weeks ago and was like, oh my gosh, this looks really, really good for your school. She said, don't get excited yet because we have to see the growth. But the test results, after a year or during a year of COVID, what she was seeing was a lot of decline, right? In some cases up to 15 points. So a decline in growth percentiles. And so to see that we were improving, or that we hadn't declined, was really exciting for us. Mr. Hewlett and I were up at the student council retreat in the middle of nowhere, Utah, so we had just gone to try to get some cell service when we talked to Rochelle Hewlett, and she told us the good news, and we literally whooped from the mountaintop. We were so excited. And then we had to wait. We had to wait about a couple more weeks before the state released the growth numbers. So this is what you're seeing right now. You can see that our growth was marked in 2016-17 for English Language Arts, or ELA, at 57. And then you can see how the next 2 years there was a decline. That decline is very concerning to both our charter authorizer, the charter authority, and to our school board, because if we aren't showing positive growth for our kids, the charter authorizer will not authorize us to be a school. And so there were a lot of reasons why we had to make some changes. And so when we did, we thought, well, at least if we can our goal was to raise it by 6 points. So we were at a 50, our goal was to raise it to 56 for ELA. With growth, and similarly with math, we're at a 52 growth point, and we wanted to be up to a 58, and you can see right there where our test scores came in. So we are thrilled. We are really, really proud of the hard work that the teachers have done, and you as parents, most of you who are with us, we're co-teaching. So you should take a lot of pride in knowing that coming together like that has really paid off for our kids, and we're really just excited to continue that forward motion and that progress. So any questions about that, or comments or concerns? Again, this is just the growth measures. On our website, we have a dashboard now that will provide all of the information, the raw data and the things like that, so you can see specifically how many of our kids are considered proficient in comparison to at our school, in comparison to the state of Nevada, and nationwide. You can see those comparisons come through. So all of that is accessible to you as parents. It's important to me that I'm held accountable as a school leader, and similarly to with Director Hewlett, Rochelle wants that accountability as well. It's why she made the recommendations to make some changes. So we're thrilled. We're really, really happy and excited for the kids because they're learning and they're growing and they're doing so in engaged classrooms where they are really important parts of those conversations. No questions, comments? Okay, yeah, thanks. Yeah, give yourself a round of applause. It's really exciting.
I was going to reiterate to make sure that everyone understood it was a really big deal. It might not look like a huge deal, but if I can be honest, we were just hoping to not slip last year. Like, we were just hoping to be able to hold ground with all of the challenges that were coming. So when we got that data back, it showed that not only did we not just hold ground, we did not go down at all, we actually showed growth. It's huge. So thank you for applause, because it is a really big deal.
It is a big deal.
It's a big deal for you guys as well, for sticking with us and being a part of it, because it was not easy for you, as it wasn't easy for us, but thank you for sticking with us and trusting the process. This shows that what we're doing is hopefully working.
COVID will prevent the state from giving official star ratings because attendance is one of the factors. We had really great contact with kids and families last year, a lot in part to Director Nick Hewlett's department. They made, I think, over 8,000 phone calls regularly to reach families and kids last year during COVID, and let them know that we care and how can we support you and how can we get you back on track and all of those things. were really helpful. The projection, if we were going to get a star rating, our elementary school as a whole was at 2 stars. With the decline, because that's what decline does, we are back on track as a 4 or a 5-star school, which is really gratifying for, again, all of the work and all the good things that we knew were going on. None of that part we feel has changed. We're just really excited that all of that's going to be reflected publicly when all of that's made official. So, yes. Yeah, it's really great. And we're just going to keep going up, right? We're not going to be like, we're going to sit back. We want to continue to keep moving. And so we will put that in our continuous improvement plan. That's something that we file with the state, and some of you may get asked to be on that committee. Yes, sir.
Oh, I just have a question. What change made the biggest difference to move the needle?
Oh gosh, what changed? If I can, there's a lot of them. Probably the biggest shift was aligning the instruction at grade level to the standard, because the standard is what the kids are showing what they know when they get to those tests. I really have a hard time as an educator that the test, like that we're teaching to the test. We're not. We just want the kids to hit those benchmarks so they can continue to be prepared for postgraduate experiences. So if we're true to that, if we're doing those things, then we're able to remediate for the kids who are really struggling and bring them up to that grade level. For the kids who are accelerated, sometimes they were missing out grade level content, and then they wouldn't be able to perform even though they were accelerated students on those types of measures. And so just giving them access to those, to that content, that aligned content, really I think made the biggest difference. We changed our math program. If any of you have 4th or 5th graders, that was tough, so hard. I'm still not great with the INVAX aligned standard math, because I am a cross multiply, I carry the 1 math person. And if I had to have another conversation with a parent where I could empathize more about, I don't know how to group either, I don't know how to regroup, why aren't we carrying the 1 and cross multiply, like I understood that on a fundamental level. But where we can see the payoff, and Lisa Cates has been a fantastic staff member and she's held our hands all the way through this math transition, was that those explaining number sense and understanding the order of mathematics, really asking the kids about their thinking, which is a really important engaged activity for student learning. They weren't just parroting math facts back, because what we need to see is that they have that higher order thinking available, that they can apply their thinking, that they can justify their thinking. And even if they get it wrong, if they can explain themselves up to a certain point, they usually can self-correct themselves. So helping them to be critical thinkers was not a freedom that was afforded to our teachers with the prior management company. There was a very scripted, specific plan, and even though teachers could see, I need to go back and reteach this, there's concepts my kids aren't fully understanding, or I know this isn't fully aligned to the standards of Nevada, they didn't have that freedom to be able to go back and reteach things. And last year, they crushed it. How many of you had 5th graders last year? That grade level made all of the difference in our reporting, because 2 years ago they were in 3rd grade. So when we look at growth, your kids that are up there on 2018 to 19, that's where they were performing. And then last year they're in 5th grade. And so when we took the test in 5th grade for 2020 to 2021, that's how much they grew. And so I don't take credit for that as a leader. We kind of just put some things in check and gave the teachers the freedom to really be wonderful experts and to trust themselves. Go ahead.
The other 2 things that we talked about in the first group this morning were groupings within classrooms that were taught by licensed staff members. So
small group instruction is a fantastic educational method. You will never hear me arguing against small group instruction. And a lot of you came to the school because this school had small group instruction. When I did a full understanding and audit of what small group instruction meant, that students were taken at the grade level that they were at and put into a group with like peers, and then never, if they were working below that grade level standard, were never exposed to where they should be. So it felt really good, because they went home very successful, because they could read at a 1st grade level, which was their group, but they're supposed to be at a 3rd grade level, which is challenging if you need some extra support. So another issue was that there weren't teachers teaching in those small groups. And I just professionally can't get behind that. There's a reason why we have licensed teachers, there's a reason why we do professional development to make sure that they know the content and the information. And so I believe very firmly in small group instruction. Based on the report or the responses from a lot of you, with our COVID relief funds that are coming to the schools, we've increased the size of the schools or the student support paraprofessional department, so that all of our classes now have a classroom aide in the class with the teacher. So where we were just before at a K through 3 with a paraprofessional to help, these are teachers in training that we are incentivizing to grow up to be teachers, because we also recognize there's a massive teacher shortage in all of America. And these paraprofessionals are working alongside with the teachers, but the teachers are the ones that are directing those small group instructions. They're the ones that are looking at the data saying, this is the plan for these kids. And as we finish our MAP testing next week, that will be our baseline for where we start with our groupings. So Ms. Telfer, if anybody had Ms. Telfer last year, she had all her kids grouped by fruits. Like, these are my bananas and these are my apples. And she would say, I have no bad apples, all good apples, only fresh bananas, you know, and she would call them into her groups, but then she can differentiate with those small groups while the paraprofessional is working with the other kids doing different activities. Yes?
So you are doing groups again?
We are.
But with licensed teachers?
With licensed teachers, yep. And specific to a plan that helps the kids grow. So in 6th grade, for example, here, we've got some students who are working 2 grades above math, where they are eligible in 6th grade to get high school credit because they are ready for algebra and craving it, a lot of them especially. And so we've had those conversations with our school counselor here to say, you know, are you prepared and ready in 6th grade to put something permanent on your transcript, like you would if you were in 9th grade? And some of the parents are like, you know what, let's give it a try, let's give it a go, and we can always have them retake algebra as a 7th grader until they feel successful enough to really have a strong foundation in their math classes. So there is a rotation or a round of kids right now in our 6th grade that are working double accelerated and then 1 accelerated group. So we do start to differentiate, and eventually ELA will be that way too. We know that when it comes to our performance on math, so this is what's really hard. You see that there's, I think, overall as a school, we're listed as 46% of our kids are proficient at math. And I think, oh, that means like not even half of our kids are at grade level. I'm not super satisfied with that. Unfortunately, when you look nationwide or even statewide, that's pretty much the average. That kids in grades 3 through 8, half of them are working below their grade level. So our goal is to have everyone at grade level, if not beyond, and that's what we're targeting right now. Because 46, while it's pretty great at being average, doesn't feel right, and it doesn't feel like we're serving our community in the best way we can. So that's what we're targeting. That's what we're really working on this year. We have a wonderful new math curriculum from K through 12 called Reveal Math. It's standards aligned, but was anybody here, were you on the math Yep, we have some parents that served on the curriculum committee, and they vetted several programs, and we're really excited to be able to implement that. There have been some things on back order, so that's why if you're seeing copies of math stuff, it's not old math curriculum, it's the new stuff. We just are waiting for the books and the workbooks to get off the cargo ships in Long Beach. I think that's where they are, last I heard. Yes?
Sorry, can you clarify? I'm still a little confused about groups, because my child's teacher told me the entire class was going to math and that they weren't splitting up.
So depending on where the kids are with their math level, I don't know what grade you're talking about. In 4th grade. So those students, we, within that different section of those kids, our 4th, 5th, and 6th grade students are departmentalized. So they go with the math teacher who's able to focus specifically on math strategies for the kids at the different level. Once we get the baseline map testing that's happening next week, that teacher will know specifically how to differentiate within that classroom in smaller groups for those kids. So there might be some general class homework or assignments, but then the additional enrichment activities or small group instruction that the teacher will be doing within that 4th grade section of math will be specific to the area where the kids are. That way, if your kid is an accelerated student, then they will start to work so that they are prepared by the time they're in 6th grade to be eligible and successful in algebra. So we'll start to kind of sift through that, and we're also really conscientious, right? Like, because you don't want the kid to be like, I'm in the, I don't know, what's a bad fruit? What's the grossest fruit out there? What is it? I don't know. I'm in the bad fruit group. We want to make sure kids are feeling supported and built, and there's a lot of data that's coming out now about how to best approach students who have learning gaps after COVID, and the majority of what the research is saying is that kids that are exposed to that grade level content are accelerating more rapidly, and they're closing those gaps. And so, depending on where each of your students fall like that, you should hear some specific information. Your parent-teacher conferences will give you a lot of particular information. And the SBAC scores are gonna be sent home as soon as we can get them uploaded into Infinite Campus. So we just got the 3 boxes last week.
So it'll all be done in the classroom, they won't be going to the breakout rooms like they did before, so that way it can be taught within that classroom with a license.
Okay, Archer Academy is something that we're putting into place for our students who need remediation. Based on the MAP scores, your son or daughter may get invited to do an after-school program where we'll be doing additional mentoring and tutoring with the students. There's also a healthy nutrition and wellness program associated with that. So just know that that's coming. I'll have more information about that in September as far as how it's organized. It will be by invitation only. If we have additional seats, if the parents are like, no, thank you, I appreciate the opportunity, but it just won't work. We've got other activities after school. My kid doesn't want to be at your school 3 extra days a week for a couple hours. As much as I love you, we're gonna pass. And then for the parents who do want after-school care, then we would put their names into a lottery, and it would be 2 hours on Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. Our Wednesday and Thursday early out days wouldn't apply because our teachers are doing professional development on those days. So they wouldn't be able to do both. So that's coming. We're really excited about that. Oh, I skipped B. If you're curious, we raised $9,680 and 53 cents for the donation school drive, which is awesome. We're really thrilled about that. We spent about $80,000 on school supplies just to get us set up for this school year. That is not very many textbooks. It's not counting the math curriculum. That was $300,000. And so all those pencils and supplies and balls for PE and all those things, they start to add up. But it's part of our financial responsibility to budget that for our kids and for our teachers, and we're happy to do that. But we appreciate the generosity of our families always, because then we can supplement. If the art teacher's like, man, they are going crazy with these crayons, I need a new set of crayons, for the art classes, and we're able to do those things. And that donation center stays open all the time so that we can replenish throughout the year. The Core Knowledge Language Arts program, for example, is the ELA program that we are using in elementary school. Our teachers have been very strong advocates of the program, and what we're realizing is they've never even realized all of the components that they could have access to. And so they've come back and asked us for about $72,000 in additional readers and activity workbooks and things like that. So we believe that would be a great support to the kids and to the classroom, and so we're moving forward with those kinds of purchases. So if you ever have any questions, like how much does it cost to run your building, I'm happy to share any of that. We have done a flush analysis, so I can tell you how much water that we spend, how much we spend on water based on the number of people that use the bathroom, because those are all things that come with managing a school. It's really exciting stuff. But all of those things are part of being a successful school and making sure that we're accountable to our stakeholders. Now, if you wrote on the survey, please don't call us stakeholders. I'm just going to tell you, we use that term in education because you all have a vested interest, a vested stake in our school. But every time I say it now, I get really nervous that whoever submitted that anonymous comment, please quit calling us stakeholders. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to offend you. It's just what we say. Anyway.
What is that percentage-wise of, like, if everybody gave their $25, what would that number be?
I was actually just saying to the parent-student handbook, I did say $25 during orientation. We have 2,300 students, and if every student donated $20, that's a very different amount. So,
okay.
but we're happy for what we have. There's other ways that families have been really generous with us, and so we're feeling, I'm feeling pretty thrilled. I come from a sector where everyone shows up with, their Target bags and all the different things, and I know it costs $120, but it's awful, like, to have to do that every year.
I couldn't agree more, so I was wondering why that number's so low. I was super gladly give you my $500 anytime to not have to do all that work, so I'm just really surprised.
I think
That
maybe the word didn't go out. Yeah, maybe the word didn't go out as well as we intended. It's not compulsory. Like, it's a free public education, so we're happy. And there have been some very, very generous parents. So we're very thrilled. $9,600. I was like, who donated 53 cents? But it's because there's a fee. I was like, that's such a weird donation. Like, I'll give $1.53, but it's because they took a fee off of the online donations. So yes.
Or there's people like me who have 5 kids and then just forget about everything. And so that's me. I haven't done that.
That's why it's open all the time.
Yeah, it's open all the time, and sometimes, everybody, uniforms, everyone just, maybe buying uniforms, and that's the school supply. For a family that has a lot of kids, I have 5 kids too, so that's probably why I hated Target. I was like, look at all these wipes I'm buying, and I don't even use them in my own house. And so maybe that's why. So hopefully, things will come through. We do another gift giving campaign closer to the holidays for our teachers, just as Teacher Appreciation. Families have always been super supportive of that as well. So we're not worried. It's part of our responsibility to be really mindful about our budget, and so that's something that I really appreciate as far as our charter school goes, is that we are very financially responsible so that we can stay solvent. A lot of the money that I spent, that $80,000 on materials for our teachers, came from the surplus and money that we had last year. So we were very careful. My EPs will tell you, I'm the queen of no. I'm like, no, tell me why. Let's justify this. Let's think through this. Is this really going to help kids? Some teachers get excited. They're like, I want a couch. It's like, that's a lot of germs right now. You don't have space in your classroom. So anyway, but we're really excited to be able to supplement with the money that we have. Anyway. Okay, I'm gonna skip carpool because that took up most of the time, but we're gonna come back to it. As much as nobody probably wants to talk to it. Please take a look at the calendar. Our MAP testing is continuing through next week. That is, again, just an opportunity for the kids to show what you know. Testing for us is a very low risk activity. It's just genuine information and opportunities for us to gather the information. There are testing guidelines, so sometimes your kids might feel a little like, oh, we had to put our backpacks in the room, and it kind of changes their routine for the day. But really, we just want to know where they're at so we can better cater their education to the needs that they have. On this Friday at 5:30, if any of you have seniors, we will be having a senior sunrise at 5:30 in the morning. I'm really excited about that. So early. We're also doing that day a welcome back spirit assembly, something we've never been able to do for our kids that are in 9th through 12th grade. Part of that comprehensive high school experience is being able to gather together and do assemblies. So that's something that our student council has planned. Is it grade 7 through 12? Okay, yeah. Okay, 7 through 12. And we have a new fight song, so we're going to teach the kids the fight song. It's very catchy, so we'll probably share it in a video so you can learn it at home. If you want a family night activity, learn the Atlas fight song. And then our open house schedules. I know on last week's newsletter we had 2 dates listed for the Durango open house. We recognize after meet and greet, that's just really hard if you've got younger kids and older kids. So we're going to synergize that and put it all on one night. It is just for parents, so you can have a chance to have adult conversations. The elementary teachers will be doing presentations. The secondary teachers will have the information available for you on their website, so that, because if you have 8 classes, it feels like a full school day after your long work day. But you'll still be able to get that information and have the time to have some FaceTime with the teachers. So that will be happening on August 24th at 6 p.m. at the Rainbow campus next week, and August 25th here at the Durango campus at 6 p.m. You don't have to come, we're not taking attendance, but we would love to have you come and hear presentations from our elementary teachers and meet and talk to your other kids' teachers. If you do have secondary students, we are still leveling our classes. We had to do a complete overhaul of Infinite Campus, and when we did that and put the master schedule in, we have some classes that are really, really big, but the period before is really, really small. And so we're trying to level that out for the teacher's sake to make sure everybody has a good quality education. And we were able to open up some additional electives, so kids who were initially bumped out of maybe their first or second choice of an elective, we were able to open up some sections of that. So schedules might adjust as far as what period they have. For the most part, by grade level in 7 through 12, there's not a ton of movement as far as teachers or people. And we're trying to finish that up by this week, so when you come for open house, you're meeting the teachers that your kids are gonna have for the rest of the year. And also, we know some of our kids bond really fast with their classmates, and we don't wanna be like, hey, I know you've had friends for 3 weeks, but now we're gonna be into this other period. So if your kid does come, or your son or daughter does come home with a schedule change, just please know we're trying to make sure that they have the best opportunity in secondary to have, you know, space and teaching and all that. Okay, let's see. Picture day, September 16th at the Durango campus will be picture day for kinder through 12th grade, and Friday, September 17th at the Rainbow campus will be picture day for kinder through 5th grade students. And then we have a homecoming week, and that will be October 15th. You'll see down at the bottom there's a cute little QR code. That cute little QR code is going to actually bring you to a sign-up place where you can sign up to volunteer to work as a snack shack volunteer. Woo, snack shack. And or volunteer for our homecoming week family fall carnival. That's not the full title, but the fall carnival that we've done for years is back. We're super excited. It will be an event for K through 12. It lines up with a home volleyball game that night. We're gonna have food and fun and games with our whole community, and so we need a lot of help with that. It's been really successful in the past to be able to just kind of gather together as a community to make some money for the school. And that will be that week of October 11th through 15th. The actual carnival itself is the 15th of October. Okay, so let's talk about carpool. No. I feel like it's getting better. Can somebody validate me? It's getting better?
Yes.
Okay, I tried.
Way better than the first day.
Way better. The feedback this morning, we had some really great suggestions. First, a more pointed and informational video about carpool with some specifics like, the reason we don't want you coming into the driveway if you are early with the wrong colored tag is because your kids are not on the curb, and then you gridlock us because we can't get the parents to move out of the driveway. Because parents, I'm sure it's none of you, okay, so I'm gonna talk about the other parents. Parents get really panicked and they think like, I've gotta get my kid. And if you have a, what's second dismissal, Steve, is that yellow? Here? Orange is second, okay, so second dismissal, orange tag, and we still have red kids on your curb. The orange parents were like, drive around again. They're like, I'm not effing moving. Like they say that, they're really, really aggressive. Craig Jacks, who's our direct, I'm not, again, that's none of you, it is none of you. Craig Jacks, who had a very distinguished career with Metro as a cop, he is our director of operations. And he has been out every day, and it has been so hot. And he came in on Monday and said, I have never been treated that bad in all my years as a cop. Right? I know, and that's completely against the mission of the school, everybody. If we're talking about the A+ standard, that is not it. But I get it because there's a panic, and it's like, oh, that parent's 10 minutes early, I'm gonna show up 12 minutes early tomorrow, and then I'm gonna be 15 minutes early, and then all of a sudden we are packed 30 minutes before the kids ever come out of the building. Then we get nasty emails that said, I can't believe I was in carpool for 45 minutes. And I was like, I know that mom. And she left 15 minutes after the kids got out. I know that for a fact because I'm watching my watch. But it feels like 45 minutes because she's been baking in her car, sitting there in the parking lot, all packed in, waiting to go. So we are respectfully asking, in fact, we just had a whole conversation about ordering different colored flags. So if the people at the driveways are not, if they are not waving your color tag, whatever. If it doesn't match, if you're a red tag and you see the red flag flying, great, you're welcome to our driveway. Come on in. But if you show up early and you are a yellow tag and you can see they're still waving red, well, just take another tour. It's like going to the airport, where the security at the airport is a lot more aggressive than we are by nature, and they have whistles, and we don't have whistles. Maybe we need whistles. And if you get in that line to pick up your friend, you know, and you get that slow right lane because you know they're not quite to the pillar, but you're hoping you can time that perfectly because you can't park and wait. And you get up there and your friend is not there at the curb to hop in your car, you gotta go around. And that's what we need parents to do. Because the quicker that we can fill it with all the right color tags, when we release those kids down to the curb. Now we're gonna own, the first day we had some mistagged kids, and that was a big problem. But we fixed that by day 2, and now it's just a matter of keeping the cars moving. I also know psychologically our parents are happier if they're in constant motion. So if you pull in, and you can be like, okay, I'm in this lane, and now I'm gonna move over to this curb, and I'm gonna get my kid, and I'm gonna move out here, and I'm gonna turn the corner, and then I'm gonna get to exit. Like, everyone's in a happier mental space. We are not the administration for the parents. So I can't boss you around. I'm not the boss of you. I can tell a kid, put your cell phone away, put your backpack on the fence and look for your mom's car. I can say that all day long. I can't tell parents, you have to move your car if they're like, I'm not moving. I'm like, well, what a bit of a situation here. Can we kick him out of the school? Yeah, yes we could.
Do it.
We've never done it. Do it. Do it. We'd like make a play like, you're out of here. So anyway, but we're hoping some peer pressure from the parents will be really helpful and effective. Yeah.
I mean, this is like super specific, and I know there's 400 carpools to consider, but like, when I was explaining my carpool and given the map, it said, come down Cimarron, which is not correct.
Oh, that's a problem.
You need to go down Buffalo, because people trying to turn left off of Cimarron, not appropriate. Those are rule breakers. The line is all the way back to Buffalo. You need to go to Buffalo.
Oh, okay.
And the map says, and I was told, go down Cimarron. Well, I figured that out obviously day one. I was like, oh, this isn't right. Got a mile to go.
I think normally, like during a normal carpool, it is okay to go down Cimarron.
Yeah.
Normal.
That's a thing.
I mean, if everyone does it correctly, that's what it has been in the past.
That line, it's to Buffalo. I mean,
No,
I just
right.
can't imagine it ever
Oh,
getting
you're,
to Cimarron.
you're not a rainbow.
No,
You're
she's here.
No.
You're here. Okay.
No, it is true. It is true, but a lot of them are coming too early. So if they didn't
Right.
come too
So
early,
no, we're trying to
it
get
should
them
be
out,
okay.
and they're like, I'm not going, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's why you're backing up. We're backing up. So everyone just take the mentality like, if that flag, first of all, we're not opening the gates until right at the time, because we know that just mentally that's making everybody mad. So we're gonna make everybody mad right from the beginning by just keep motioning you to come on by, which means, just so you know, the administration is already having to be out of the curb 30 minutes in the hot heat just to tell parents to keep driving and to not park in the desert. Today we got out at 1:45. I was coming from Rainbow at 1:05 and I saw 3 parents parked in the dirt lot waiting 40 minutes ahead of schedule. Go to IKEA. Go do some shopping. Go to In-N-Out. Bring us some donuts. Like any of those options. Because why? Especially if you don't have one of those first release flags. Oops, sorry.
Okay, so for drop off of gym rounders,
Yep.
we have 3 lanes, right?
Yep.
And people are not doing that, so we're backing up all the way to Sunset
In the morning.
in the morning.
Okay.
And so I've just been cutting people because I'm like, guys, there's 3 lanes.
That's
Follow
good.
me.
Yeah, and we don't have anybody assigned out there during drop off in the morning, and that's something we can do. I'm gonna write that one up. So, get that.
Specific entrance, they are intending more people to come from the other direction,
Yeah.
from the sunset.
Right.
Because that's what the 2 lanes are supposed to go.
Yeah.
The 1 lane, they'll cut off, the cars are gonna turn out.
Yes. And that was we had to call Mr. Googler from ops, like, where are we going? Where are we? And then we're the jerks, because we're like, you can only turn right now. We're only turning right, but we'll try to fill those in. We call that stacking in the world of carpool. We're also really flexible if you actually carpool. If you get a group of moms together, and that was another solution that the parents this morning suggested, you will probably start to see parents trying to pair up or connect with one another through the parent Facebook page. We cannot arrange that. There's too many liability issues. We would then have to fingerprint everybody and do a DMV background check and make sure that you're responsible. But if you as parents make that determination, there's a couple parents that have like 7 kids pour out of their car. It's a minivan, everybody has a seatbelt, and awesome. Yeah,
On that note, can they be a little compassionate for us with 7 kids? Because
Of
every
course.
time I get the kids in the car, they're like, can you do it for them? I'm sorry, there's just so many kids.
I know.
They're like, keep moving. I'm like, my kids hanging out of the car. I'm like, I promise I'm getting these guys.
If you get to a point where you start to load, you should be able to get to load. But if you can see there's going to be a gap in about 2 minutes, be the mom that's like, you can walk. Because what we've learned is if you fill in the gap and other cars are moving, it goes a lot faster. The gaps kill us. And so that's why we're like, keep moving. And they're like, but my kid is right there. We're training the kids. A mom at Rainbow had like this pink plushie hanging out the window. It was the most brilliant thing. Because the kid was like in 2nd grade and she was like, okay, a plushie, another plushie. And she got right there. It was brilliant. She didn't do it any other day, but that one day I was like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. Well, we know from the littles too, is they're learning. We've had kids that haven't been in carpool for 2 years, so we're going to get a little bit faster as it goes. We are not trying to yell or do anything that hurts your children's feelings at all. It's a little intense. We are getting yelled at a lot too, and so we are working actively to be really happy about that. But tell your friends, like, let's be nice. Because every time I'm like, can I just stick my head in front of your air conditioning vent? It is so hot. And I have a flush problem. Like my face turns the color of my purple pants yesterday. I was like, are you okay? I was like, I'm fine. And I'm just, go ahead.
Quick question. I know some other charters give kids like waivers to where they can walk.
Yes.
Has AmPlus considered that for like secondary students?
Yes.
And also, pretty hot out there, especially with the uniforms on.
Yep.
Have you guys considered maybe being some sort of covering for the shade?
That was actually a conversation with our operations people today, yesterday. I said, can we look at what it would cost us to put in covers for parking and also make them solar covers so we cut down on our power bill? We're not our landlord yet. We're trying to, with our former management company, who we're no longer with, they're still our landlords. So we're cranky situations sometimes. So we're trying to get to be our own landlord, and then we can make those kinds of building improvements as our own landlord. So that was a suggestion, and I like that one because then come rain or shine or whatever the situation, at least there's coverage that way. What was your
Mrs.
first
Burlow,
point?
we also encourage them to take off their
Oh,
vests and
we do.
unbutton their shirts a little bit and take off their masks when they're outside, because they are outside, so it's technically okay. We do encourage all of that, and they can do that before they get out to carpool if they'd like. I tell them, I'm like, take off your vest, unbutton your shirt.
And we have water refill stations there, and and I want you to know, for here at Durango and at Rainbow, we are very conscientious of when those kids get let out. So yesterday, Rainbow was a good example. We had, after I said these yellow tag kids, there were about 8 of them left, had been out here for 20 minutes. We pulled them inside and put them over with the green tags, which are in the NPR. Because if you have a green tag, everybody know, the green tags are those poor 80 to 100 families, I can't remember how many, that have to do carpool at both locations.
That's me.
Yes. So don't hate on the green tag people. Don't get in their way, because
It's 2 hours. It's 2 schools.
yes.
It's literally 2 hours.
Yes. So when they're on that curb, and there is somebody with I'm trying to remember all the colors. Green, is it? It's not
Which one are you
green.
talking?
This campus.
It's green and then white and
White.
pink.
When white and pink pull into your green curb, I get you. I'm like, I am sorry. And it's some of those cars that are like, please go around. And they're like, can you see the line? And they can, and it's backed up to Durango. And I get that. You don't want to go all the way back and get in that line. But again, you're constantly moving. And then the green kids can get out of the way because we don't let the kids with the white tags or the pink tags out of the building. They are safe and secure inside a very cool building, so that we can hopefully have nobody on the curb for more than 15 to 20 minutes. And so that's another thing that the parents said would be really helpful in that information, because there was one mom with a green tag who's like, my kid has been out here forever. I was like, your kid is inside. I would love that duty. Miss Natasha Tiger has it. I want to train her every day. She is so good at what she does in there. Anyway, yes.
Couple questions. If our kids wanted to, not that they want to, but could they have like an umbrella for shade?
Absolutely.
I also bring spray bottles from
And
the
spray
dollar
bottle-
store,
I
fill them
just
up with water
ordered-
and tell them to take them out.
Yeah, I ordered extra spray bottles so the parents, or the teachers and the paraprofessionals can mist kids if they want to be mist. There's a couple kids who are like, don't get me wet. And I'm like,
And then a second question, if we carpool,
Yep.
with other parents and
Yep.
kids, and they're different color
tags.
so what do we do about that?
We just need you to communicate with our secretary so we can get them tagged correctly. I'll be honest, if you're gonna do a different carpool every day, like today you're on on the pink curb, tomorrow you're on the green curb, then you're on the yellow curb. That gets super confusing for the kids. But if you can establish something routine where it's like, I'll take in the mornings and you pick up in the afternoons, then we will re-tag those kids and then we will, and then we coach them. What is your last name? Barlow. Okay, but who are you going home with? Hewlett. Okay, so you're gonna go get in the H line because you are Barlow, but going home with Hewlett. And then then hopefully all the kids are together on the right curb, so then they can all 7 hop in your car.
In the mornings.
Yeah.
I'm sure you recommend this, but do you have to go, so I'm red, do I have to drop off in red?
Nope, anywhere.
Nope, you can drop off wherever, we just want them here, on any curb. Yes, Mark.
I would just say, as a parent who's done this cartoon for 7 years, it's better to share than normal. Like, in terms of processes, it's like, there's a lot of new people, so people are figuring it out.
Right.
But as far as like accommodation for kids, like getting to take off your uniform, that's better this year. It's not normally been that. So,
Thank
I
you.
would say it's not correct that you can get.
We're working, and every day we're watching the time. I mean, the first day we're just not talking about that one, it was that one. For those of you who stayed in your car and maybe driven around, thank you. I mean, it makes all the difference in the world. And then we just need to be kind and considerate. Mr. McKenzie, who's one of our new PE teachers, he has last period prep, so he gets that duty out there, and he's like, I almost got hit twice today, and I was like, oh, that's better, right? Because yesterday was 3, so I'm feeling pretty good about myself. They're hot and they're sweaty and they're getting yelled at by parents who are sitting in a very lovely air-conditioned situation, and so it really hurts our feelings because we just want to help the kids. It's not about your kid; it's about our whole community and getting everybody in. We'll keep your kids inside until we can say we're dropping the second dismissal. And so we've got radios, we call them, the kids come out for second dismissal, but we don't dismiss the second dismissal kids until we get the first dismissal kids mostly gone. So if you're a second or third dismissal parent and you're like, I got in line 20 minutes early, I'm not moving. Okay, it's not nice. Yeah.
So I realize you're not the owners yet, so there's a lot of red tape you have to go through, but I was thinking, what about some temporary structures, like you can buy like a pop-up tent for about $70 at Walmart,
Yep.
put them up and put in there.
We talked about that, the fact that we are making really great improvements and progress. The kids, at least Mr. Hewlett's been the one kind of timing. I timed it today. The dismissals were every 18 minutes today, which is about, our target was 15 minutes, which means that the kids, if the parents are able to get through the lines, are not on the curb any more than 20 minutes. That's the worst case scenario. Some of them are on the curb less than 5 because their parents just are right at the front of that. So we talked about that. We do have a series of pop-up tents today. It was super, super windy, so we couldn't, that's another thing. So we're hopeful that we can do some things permanently. If any of you are here from Rainbow, that it's shade structure, we're just waiting for that to get through all of the permitting process. But underneath the turf, all of the deep holes and stuff that we saw over here at Durango, those have already been dug and fixed and they're ready. So as soon as that gets through permitting, it's just with COVID, everything is delayed. And we're hopeful that that will happen real quick. Yes?
Did you just say the shade structure is being built over on Rainbow for the equipment?
It will be. There, underneath the turf.
For the equipment?
Yes.
That
Yep.
is basically useless without the shade structure.
Well, the kids are using it. They are pretty oblivious, but for the families who are here, it took us as a self-managed school 1 year to get the shade structure up here. They had been saving for that for 5 years before we were able to get that here. So we were hopeful that it would be up right when we opened Rainbow, but it's stuck in permitting. So.
Even with the shade structures this year, like today they had to close the playground, or yesterday they had to close the playground because even the equipment was too hot, even with the shade structure.
Right. So we watch that. We've got our nurse and Mr. Jex, our director of operations. He watches all the things for the air quality and for the heat index. And so usually by 10:30 we'll make an audible about whether or not they can do afternoon recess because if it's too hot. And then in a few weeks it's going to be freezing.
That's good to hear.
I just wanted to circle back to the question about a possible waiver for the
Walkers.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. So our policy for walkers, if they're here at the campus, is that they have to live within a certain radius of the school that does not cross Durango or any of the busy streets. All you have to do is meet with some of the office staff and fill out the application, and then they get a tag. They get tagged, which means they go out a special gate because they've got a walking pass. We help them get across the street, and then they can walk where there's a sidewalk. that accommodation is in place. Those who have older siblings, if they're driving, they get a rider pass, and so we have all those things in play. For the Rainbow campus, we have a system too now where we have 2 different locations where it's over by Saab at Rainbow to pick up, or there will be a front curb place. There's just no crosswalk that goes across Patrick. And so we feel a lot more comfortable having you meet over at Saab, but I recognize, I think you said that you live like right across the street. So we're not trying to make you walk all the way across the desert to walk all the way back across the desert. We figure at that point, we're gonna pass them off to you, and then you're gonna have to frogger your way across the street safely with your own child, so.
It still has to be within a mile, there's no other,
Yeah, I mean, that's the safest accommodation.
So I guess the thing is, and this is just a question.
Sure, this is what this is about, let's do
Like
it.
Doral Academy,
Uh-huh.
parents can sign a waiver to where their kids can walk, and then they can pick them up or meet them at a designated location. That's just Doral, but I was asking, has the administration considered some sort of waiver where kids could walk off campus, and then as a parent, we can
Right.
sort of meet them at a designated location?
One of the issues we have with that, and part of the commitment we made to the county commission when we opened this campus, is that we would not infringe upon any of the neighboring neighborhoods. We have a field that has been approved to be built, and it was really, really difficult to get that approval from the county commission because there were a lot of neighbors that complained about carpool, and we are very cautious about the relationships we have, because the county commission could come in and actually shut us down if they got their nose out of joint. So for that reason, we don't allow parents to have a meetup spot or designation. If they're true walkers and they can walk home and get home, then within that mile radius, as long as it doesn't cross a busy street, then we've made those concessions and we give those kids the tags. And so, again, their safety too is our responsibility from door to door. So when they leave our school property, we are technically liable for anything that would happen between our door and their door. So that's why the walking pass is important, because the parents are basically acknowledging that they are releasing us from that liability until they get to the door of their home. And so if they can't get to their door within a mile, then we just have everybody go through carpool. So hopefully that answers that. I'm sorry. It's probably not the answer. Okay, other questions that I can answer? Yes.
I have a friend that asked me, because she couldn't be here tonight, she says, ask if they're doing a spelling curriculum like spelling.
The spelling curriculum is incorporated into the core knowledge language arts. So we're not using Spalding specifically, but there is a spelling program. Yes.
So, first off, I just wanna say thank you for always responding to
Sure.
my messages and things
Yeah, no,
like
thank
that.
you for being invested and involved. This is one of our moms, she loves curriculum. Some of us love all sorts of things in our life, and she's so fantastic about knowing curriculum.
So I guess to kind of piggyback on
Sure.
what she was saying, so one of the reasons why I wanted to come here tonight is
Mhm.
because I wanted to ask the question, and I know that it takes time for this,
Right.
textbooks,
Yes.
for the specific subjects. I guess the way that I look at it is, the way that I've seen curriculum being driven is that with ELA, you've got a spelling curriculum, you've got a grammar curriculum, and you've got a reading curriculum. There should be readers for each of those, or if you can't do it for spelling, then at least a weekly spelling test.
Sure.
And then the other thing is math curriculum, that looks like that
We're done.
has
We got
textbooks,
that.
so we're
Yep.
done with that.
We're good there.
And then you've got the, science and history, so that's all I want to bring up, is that those are the only 4 subjects that, as a parent, I just wanna know that my kid, cause we've hired a lot of tutors in the past.
Mhm.
One of the I asked them, like, what their SAT, ACT scores are, and the ones that score higher are the ones that have had, it's interesting, when I ask them about, how they grew up and things like that, their parents have read to them 1 or 2 grade levels above where they're at. That's kind of how they grew up, they had a parent doing that.
Right.
So I guess, this is a great opportunity for a teacher to be reading text to the child and seeing that and recognizing words ahead of time so that they know how to answer a test. I also, would love to see an assessment schedule. So
Sure.
in the sense of, these subjects have, a test on Wednesdays, and then these subjects have tests on a Friday. And I know a lot of people
will tell you where we are very cautious about putting together really specific schedules, or that it doesn't address the needs of kids, because then we can't actually do formative assessments. You don't have the chance if you put it on a calendar, and I love you all, but if we put it in writing and you're like, why didn't we have a test? We didn't go out of town because you said there was a test, and it doesn't matter if the teacher says they weren't ready for the test, they weren't gonna be successful in the test, I had to change the date of the test, then we're in trouble for that too. So I don't disagree. There are summative assessments that all of the kids from K through 12 are going to have, and those teachers should be communicating that through their Google Classrooms so that you can know that that's a system that they have set up so that they can be successful. When it comes to the textbooks and the curriculum, what I know professionally is that there are really great programs out there, but you can overwhelm an instructional situation if you have so many resources that the teachers don't know what to do with all of the help. I also recognize that in vetting our curriculum and using committees like the curriculum committee does this, we can make sure that those textbooks are aligned to the standards that were set in Nevada. That is a really important thing for us, because that's again how we get authorized, and that's where we're being measured, is to make sure that those are standards aligned. A lot of the specific textbooks, Spalding is one of those, as a spelling program. It's fantastic. It's a traditional program. It doesn't necessarily teach the critical thinking skills that comes with intuitive spelling and figuring that stuff out. To answer your specific question, not to blast what your email was about, but during meet and greet, your concern about, I don't know why the teachers would have given the impression that there isn't already a set curriculum in place through the core knowledge sequence of learning. And those do come, that's what I was saying, the $72,000 in additional readers and resources are what the teachers say, we're ready to do this all the way through, and we want to have those resources. Our elementary teachers did a massive 6-hour training during pre-service for just science curriculum, so that they are ready. That was a curriculum that was, just for fun before, not aligning them to set them up for success when they take, when they are assessed on that in 8th grade and 10th grade. You can't all of a sudden in 8th grade be like, hey, there's this really great concept called science. We're starting that now in kindergarten. So there is an organization to the different subjects. The specific textbooks that go with that curriculum is a core knowledge school. Those are the core knowledge, that's the core knowledge curriculum that we'll be using. So as far as having extra textbooks, you're 100% right. We were talking about homework. My opinion about homework is, if your kid can demonstrate that they are proficient in what we are trying to learn, I don't need to saddle you all with 50 problems at night in math. If they can demonstrate that they know what they're doing with 5, then there's no evidence, zero evidence, and a lot of different educational studies that actually makes any impact on their educational growth. So if you're looking for things and you're like, what should we do? Read with your kids. Reading with them will help in all sorts of things. Reading informational texts specifically from textbooks or from newspapers or from magazines is really helpful. And the kids need some social time. They need to be off their screens and playing with other kids. Those are great ways to fill your afternoon. Now, if you want to do extra spelling, and as they are in different groups, they're going to have additional work. We're also having GATE start next year for our gifted and talented kids. So those assessments will start in the spring, so that next year we can offer a GATE class, and those kids will have additional assignments in addition to what they're doing in the class. So we have a very solid approach. We were thinking through all of the things. We're very mindful about all those. There's wonderful suggestions that aren't wrong. It's just as an implementation of what we're looking at school-wide, we're being very conscientious about making sure that all of those are aligned to what the expectations are for us as a school and for how we can best serve all of our students. So, any other questions? Thank you. Always. Yes?
You just made me think more about the GATE program. Well, this is our daughter's first year, but she previously qualified for GATE.
Great.
Does she have to retest for that?
I don't know.
The second question is, she's in the 4th grade. She's in the 4th grade. Do you got some resources so that I can learn this new math?
Yeah, we had a parent night last year for math, and not very many parents showed up.
Well, I don't know how I can sit down and do the homework because I'm a cross multiplier.
Me too.
So this is going to be a problem.
Yes, and we actually have a math facilitator for our elementary students who right now is working in a classroom because we have a teacher shortage, and so we're waiting to find the right person. But as soon as Ms. Deaver is out of the classroom, that's her job, is to work with kids and parents to help them understand math and be successful there. Yep.
So not really a question or just a comment, but I
Yeah.
guess where I'm really struggling as a parent is what changes were COVID changes and what changes were APA to AMPLIS changes, right? So
Yeah.
I'm just really waiting to start to see the culture of the school.
Yeah.
That's what I'm missing, you know, so that was the stuff that I loved about APA.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to that too. I recognize, as a new principal, it was real easy for me to be like, I think they really are struggling because of COVID. I hope we couldn't do a lot of that stuff. We weren't allowed to gather together, and that is the best part of our community. Even if people are F-bombing us through carpool, I still love all the people. Like, I'm like, okay, you're having a bad day, okay, so am I. So we're really looking forward to that. Our first Archer of the Month assembly will be the first Friday in September, and those are the type of celebrations that are just integral in who we are. The character development program, that's all continuing now that we have everybody back on campus. It just becomes kind of part of the expectation. And we've already had some really powerful conversations with kids just about the behavior expectations. And you're new to the school, this is not how we do these things. And very proactive, I want to say, instead of reactive about kind of teaching the new families how to be part of our AMPLIS community. So I am, as a person, very cognizant. Like, I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver something, but I want you to keep coming back to these meetings and saying like, hey, this was a bomb. Like, that fall carnival used to be the best thing ever, and you really dropped the ball on that. We were able to do some things at the end of last year for those of you who sent your kids to field day. It was wonderful. It was awesome. And then it's those types of things that we look forward to doing again. So thank you for that. Yes.
I don't know if it's just my phone, but I tried the little QR code and it says you need permission.
They're working on that.
So Miss Garner,
You're not allowed to use your cell phone while you're in.
email her. No, Miss Garner was supposed to try to make that public earlier. If you're in your student's Archer mail account, it's working. But give it a minute and try to just take this home with you. Because thank you, we want you to volunteer that way. Yes, ma'am.
A little plug for the Archer Carnival. We have a lot of the same parents running it again, but they are in need of lots of help. So if you're interested in helping with the Archer Carnival, you can just email PAC at amplis.academy.
Also, there's opportunities for the discipline committee and the curriculum committee. The discipline committee, it's a state mandated committee that we have, and we want parents to be part of that. That discipline committee looks at all of our data. We are very transparent about this. This is where we're having most of our issues with discipline. This is what we can do. They sit in on that committee with staff and teachers and administration to have conversations about where we are with discipline. And then curriculum specifically for social studies, K through 12, we're looking at social studies curriculum this year. Last year we worked through math. Both of those committees are work committees. You'll look at data, you'll read things, you'll be part of those conversations. So similarly to what, and I can't put everybody on there, I can't, because we have to be able to have representatives from the community. So please don't be offended if you don't get asked to serve on that committee. There's lots of other ways for you to serve and to volunteer, and we want that to happen. Probably in September, we're going to have kind of a badge fair or badge night where if you want to do the full parent volunteer thing, you have to be badged. We have to run your fingerprints and make sure all the staff, all the volunteers that we have in the classrooms with kids have the proper credentials and that they're cleared to be around students. So look for that in our newsletters. We'll give you information, and we'll have the company come here so you can come pay the fee to get fingerprinted, and then assuming you all pass, then we give you the badge so you can start volunteering in classrooms.
Do we have to get re-badged?
Depending on when you got badged last, well, if you are within that 5 years,
Right.
then you don't have to get re-badged. But we will give you a new badge. Don't want you to learn the APA stuff. We got some cute Archer stuff coming on. Yes?
One more thing, homecoming week, is there a homecoming dance or that just culminates with the festival?
There is a homecoming dance on Saturday for students in 9th through 12th grade. There is the festival the carnival the night before,
And the game.
we don't have a football team, so we do have a volleyball game that night. So that will be going on. They're trying to figure out if we can do a parade of some sorts, like, you know, with the student clubs and activities and sports teams and stuff like that, where the community, you know, where we have a good parade. We have a fight song, right? So the band can play the fight song while they march up the street, but we also have to make sure that we can block off the roads so we can do a parade. But there's a lot of conversation about those things. We need a lot of help to make some of those things happen. So please volunteer and sign up. You can, if the QR code isn't working in a couple hours, just go ahead and send it to PAC at amplus.academy, and then we can sift through those and make sure they get to the right people. So I told you I would value your time, and I'm already 5 minutes over our allotted hour. So if you have any other questions, please let me know. My email is sbarlow@amplus.academy. Most of our staff, it's our first initial and our last name at amplus.academy. We don't have our emails on our main web page because we were getting fished, spam, like, I'm the Prince of Nigeria, and I would like you to help me in this thing, dear principal. And I'm like, oh man. So our IT director made us take all of our emails off the website. So, but you can click on contact us and it gets routed to us through the contact page. So, you're wonderful, thank you, yes.
So I have a concern about, the 6th grade recess removal.
Okay,
So can you tell me why that happened?
why do we reduce it? Frankly, there's a lot of drama in 6th grade that was getting very out of control. 6th grade is a transitional year, so we keep them still in our elementary house, but they're working on middle school standards, like school standards. And so, in conversation with Mr. Piccinini and talking to Ms. Jackson from last year, a lot of the socialization and the maturity concerns that they had were happening at the different recesses. And looking too at what they need academically with the different standards, it was hard to justify that they had as much recess time as maybe a kindergartner and a first grader. The 7th graders are still very sad that they don't have recess, as are the seniors. Everybody wants to have like that kind of break. So it's not done punitively. It was a very thoughtful conversation about what they actually needed. The teachers advocated that it was worse to have so much recess time as 6th grade teachers because of the drama. That they were losing instructional time because they would have to sort out and then she said this, and then he said that, and then I was like, no way, and then, you know.
So this will happen this year, because the first day they had their recess time, and then the second day completely changed.
It's because of the heat warning. We for all students, the heat index was too high for us to have kids playing outside. Is that what happened, Mr. Keith? Are you talking about Friday or yesterday?
So the first day of school was Thursday, right?
Thursday, yeah.
Okay, so Thursday they had like their 3 short breaks, and then Friday they were told that they were only gonna have 1 recess going forward because, it was to prepare them for 7th grade is what they were told.
And that's true. I mean, that is true. It's a transitional year, and so they still have lunch and
Their recess during lunch as well.
and these recess during lunch, but that third one, they don't have that like the kindergartners or 5th graders have that. To prepare them, but also help keep them focused. It was a very honest conversation about where that is. And I'm sure it would not be your son or daughter that would be part of the drama, but last year when we had the 6th graders back on campus, I would say probably all told there was about 400 hours of lost instructional time for students because they had to be in an administrator's office sorting out some of the social drama that happened from playing soccer or not respecting boundaries or, you know, I like her but I don't like you, and they're just at that age where they're trying to navigate all of that, and so it distracts from the education, which is why in other settings, 6th graders are in middle school and they don't have any of those opportunities and breaks, but we recognize it as a transitional space for them to be able to work through some of those issues. And they're tired, and by the time they're in the afternoon, it's a big issue, yeah.
One other question, we're new to M+, and, our son says that, can you help us understand the lunch break? You mentioned that everyone's sort of put on tables and I'm not sure.
What grade is he in?
8th 8th grade.
8th grade. So we have 2 cafeterias. One is upstairs and one is downstairs. They fit, we're well within the junior high cafeteria fits 350 kids. We have scheduled anywhere from 164 to 220. So there's plenty of space in there. But they are seated right next to each other on the benches so that they can fit within the capacity of the room. We did put out some extra tables and some extra chairs just to give the kids a little bit more space so they didn't have to feel like they were seated. And junior highs, you got really, really big junior high kids and not so big junior high kids. And so they're just kind of figuring out their space and stuff like that. But everybody has had a seat and everybody, I think too, kids, one girl was in tears. She's like, this is just so overwhelming. There are so many people. And for the past year and a half, they haven't been around that many people, and it's loud, and it's, and it's in a contained space. And so they're very, very conscientious administrators who run that to make sure everybody has a space. And sometimes we have to say to kids, like, you need to move scoot down so your friend can be there. Also, once our lockers arrive, they're another thing that are stuck in the harbor in Newport Beach. When our lockers arrive, they won't have their stuff so much with them, and that has taken up some of the space in the lunchrooms too, because they've got all their bags and their backpacks and stuff like that. So again, we're looking for it to be better, but if he has a specific concern, have him come talk to one of the administrators or the counselor so we can make sure that you said son, right? That he's comfortable and that he has a good group that he feels like he can sit with, and he's not uncomfortable that way. So for sure. Okay, now I've really gone over your time. Thank you all. Have a wonderful evening. We'll see you next month. We'll put it in the newsletter, and we hope you have a great night.